this, this beautiful song of Vasudeva Ghosh, right? Jadi Gorna Hoite, Tabaki Hoite, Kemene Doritamte, Radhar Mahima, Premaras Asima, Jagata Janata Ke, where Vasudeva Ghosh is saying, you know, if Mahaprabhu had not come to tell the glories of Srimati Radharani, then how would we be able to maintain our lives? Like, how could we live? You know, like if I didn't have this connection with Srimati Radharani, or at least know of her divine position and divine glories, then what would be the use of my life? I couldn't live. This is the most valuable thing in existence. You know? But Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he points out that this Vaishnava, he was living perfectly fine before. You know, like before he heard about the glories of Radharani, he was living perfectly fine. But once he heard about that, then this feeling arose, oh, I couldn't live without this. You know, how could I live without this? Everything changes, isn't it? Once you get some higher taste, then your standards change, right? And what may have been tolerable before will no longer be tolerable. I was remembering yesterday this, I've told this a few times, but when I was visiting Oregon once, I passed by one homeless person who had this big sign, you know, saying, all I need is burgers and weed. I think that's what it was. All I need is burgers and weed. And, you know, that's sad for many reasons. But the saddest thing about it, if you think about it, is that this lady, she didn't even have a conception of something higher to aspire for. You know, like it's one thing to just be living a miserable life, but you have some high aspiration, right? Maybe you're suffering, maybe you're in misery, but you know of something higher. Let's say, put it like this, you're a dreamer. You know, you have an ideal that you're aspiring towards. You know, welcome Scarlett and Dana. You know, maybe now your circumstances are in the gutter, but you have something higher that you're moving towards. You know, then compare that with someone who's living a miserable life and doesn't know of anything more, and they're just content with their miserable life, and the most joy they hope for will be what comes from a glass of beer. You know, like that's a very sad place to be, because actually our ideal defines who we are. And that's something that Srila Sridhar Maharaj has discussed, right? Know a person by their ideal. Judge a person by their ideal. This is a higher way of appreciating someone's value. You know, we should not judge them according to their current circumstances and environment. But what is it that they're moving towards? What is it that they're aspiring after? You know, it's like if you look in a prison cell, there's a whole range of different types of prisoners, right? There will be repeat offenders who just go in and out, you know, their whole lives. You know, then there will be those who they made a mistake, they've had to go to prison, but they realize they're wrong, and they're reforming themselves. And next thing you know, they could be, you know, some, you know, powerful activist in, you know, in you know, health or environmental issues or whatever, right? It could all change according to the inner aspiration that they're moving towards. So this is what actually defines our lives. You know, what is our ideal in life? What is our aspiration? You know, that is how we want to define ourselves and try to appreciate others. So this is, you know, this is going back to the original point. You know, this is why our guardians are so desperately needed by us, you know, because they're informing us about the nature of our own hearts. They know us and our needs and our wants better than we do. They are the expert doctors. We're putting ourselves in the care of these expert doctors, and they know our need, and they know how we can be healed much better than we can. So there's a beautiful expression of Srila Sridhar Maharaj where he says, Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu taught us what to want, what to beg for, what to pray for. Mahaprabhu taught us what to pray for. He taught us what to want, because we don't know. We're ignorant about our own needs, But they know, what we truly want. And then when we get it, we will feel that confirmation. Oh, yes. How was I living without this? This is everything. So to have a seed of aspiration planted in our hearts, this is the most wonderful thing. Where and what we are at present doesn't matter. But what has been planted in our hearts, what we're moving towards in some capacity or another, that is everything. That is everything. Prem no hi bija pradam, our Guru Dev's pranam mantra, right? Receiving the seed of Krishna prema, the seed of divine love. What is that seed? It's the desire. It's some aspiration, a seed of faith, means some seed of desire for this higher thing. Jandarvika Giridhari Seva Matra Ashe, by your grace we can have some hope, for the service of Shri Radha Krishna. So that's what our gurus are giving. They're giving an aspiration. And the thing is, you'll never get it. You'll never actually reach there, because it's eternally going to be an aspiration. No matter how far along you go, we are dealing with the infinite, right? We are dealing with the infinite. So it is an eternal condition. There's another beautiful line of Srila Sridhar Maharaj where he says that to be in a state of separation, that is the only healthy way to live. That is the normal and healthy way for the soul to live. And in a condition of separation means they're aspiring for the connection of their Lord. That it's always going to be something over there. Well, Govinda said that she had a question.
Hi. Oh, sorry, my voice is all messed up. Dandavat, everyone. So I have a somewhat practical question in terms of like God sibling and devotee relations and things. I aspire to have a lot of or as much devotional association as I can, but sometimes I notice that sometimes a devotee is sort of trying to talk about how do I say this, the differences of like conception in different mats, like ISKCON versus SES Mat versus whatever, and like specifically referring to or mentioning the differences in specific interpretations of Siddhanta. And I've always heard that it's not so important to be like this learned scholarly pundit when it comes to Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta. Like we don't need to know all of the specific details of the cosmological whatever in order to just be able to serve the devotees, and that anything that we need in terms of understanding and conception will come and be revealed through this sincere dedication to Vaishnav Seva, Guru Seva, everything like that. So sometimes I can be a little disturbed when a god sibling is coming to me and like pointing out certain things to me in terms of like fine points of Siddhanta, and like almost kind of arguing, and I'm kind of like, this to me is just kind of distracting, because I don't know if this is like wrong or like incorrect mindset, but it's like, I don't really care what the different mats are saying, like about different things when it comes to like these arguments about Siddhanta. To me, I feel like they're getting kind of caught up in a jnani kind of thing, and it's not so relevant to the core, Bhakti tradition. So I don't know how to like try to, but then these devotees will say, but this is a core, tenet of the Siddhanta that like Mahaprabhu gave, or something like this, and it's important to like, I don't know, have it be accurate. So I just don't know how to like navigate these conversations, because to me they're not nourishing or inspiring. They feel kind of like nitpicky and kind of not in like a super devotional like mood. So I'm just wondering like how to proceed in these kinds of situations when devotees are coming and trying to like discuss these like really specific points of Siddhanta. Like, should I be trying to just get out of that conversation if I feel like it's not productive, or I don't know, just any kind of advice in this sort of situation would be really helpful.
Well, first of all, I feel like, you brought up a few different points here, and I'm not clear on how they're connected. You mentioned about the conception of different missions in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. I feel like you're conflating two different issues here. There's the Gyan versus Seva debate. And then there's this other point of different missions and their slightly different points of emphasis. So do you want to clear anything up there, or do you want to separate?
Sure. Well, I can give more specific context. So I'm going to put this quote in the text because it's specifically about this quote from, Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada. So it's been mentioned to me about something called the fall vada, the conception that like it's possible for the, Jiva soul to fall from Golok Vrindavan. And to me, like the word fall is kind of confusing, and like apparently it's more commonly used in ISKCON. And so, for me, it's like sometimes I'm reading certain things that devotees will share from ISKCON or from, Srila Swami Prabhupada, and there's just like these differences in the language. And so when I have shared some stuff from Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, I've had other devotees like message me privately and be like, this is not technically in the line of like the Gaudiya Vaishnava, like, Sampradaya, Siddhanta, or whatever. And I just don't really know like what to say about that, because, I've always understood that Srila Swami Maharaj was, a Paramahamsa, and that like he gave, pure conception just in a specific form, according to time, place, and circumstance. And that the language that he used and certain things were to try to make it so that it was more accessible for, the Western people who had no context for Vedic conception or anything like that. So this particular point, again, I like, to me, this is all stuff that's like way beyond me, like I just, when I saw this, I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. So I shared it, but then someone messaged me and said, well, this is not actually technically correct. And then started going into the differences about how ISKCON is like saying this fall vada, and that's not technically correct. So I just like, I feel like I somehow stepped in a mess that I didn't mean to. And I'm just like, isn't like this kind of nitpicking of these fine points of Siddhanta, for me, this is all translation from Sanskrit. So it's going to be interpretation, and the way that things are translated reflects, again, the consciousness of the translator and the time, place, and context and circumstances, everything. So for me, I didn't have a problem kind of understanding the essence, but the person who messaged me said that people might have this mistaken conception from it that is being spread in ISKCON. And then I was like, well, I don't know what's going on in ISKCON because I'm not, formally a member of ISKCON, and I don't know that that's my business anyway. So I just kind of was like, I was just trying to share some, something that I found particularly interesting and nourishing. But then someone was saying that it was like not even technically in line with our conception. So, I'm kind of at a loss here.
Okay, I got a bit lost on how the conversation started. Somebody sent you this quote.
Yeah, so I saw someone posted this quote on Facebook, and I, to me it made sense. Like I understood kind of the message and intention behind this, and so I shared it because I thought it was, helpful. But then, so I'm asking, like, I guess two things. Firstly, is this in line? I mean, it's a quote from Samaraj Prabhupada, so like I feel kind of like it's offensive to even question it, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like someone has said that to me that it's not. So that's, the first part is like confusion about that. And then the second point is like, how do I avoid getting into this situation in the first place when I'm just trying to share something that I find spiritually nourishing?
Okay, well, I think you don't realize that you stepped into like a major debate.
Yeah.
I mean, that is absolutely hilarious, actually.
Yeah, I do it all the time.
You have no idea, like devotees go crazy over this issue. Like,
yeah,
okay. that was a faux pas.
Yep. I commit them all the time.
No, I mean, you have no idea. I mean, devotees like kill each other over this point. There are books that have been written about it. They leave missions over it. They start new missions over it. Like, it is like absolute madness. So yeah, you definitely want to steer clear of that.
Okay.
So basically, they posted that quote. Obviously, they have an agenda. I mean, not obviously, but it would seem to me they have an agenda of promoting the idea that the Jiva falls from Vrindavan. But that wasn't your intention. You're just thinking it's a nice quote of Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I understand your point. That's very funny. Yeah, that whole issue, what the conclusion I came to, there's this phrase you may have heard, asura vimohan, means or asura mohan means like bewildering the asuras. And sometimes these like controversial issues are deliberately planted by our gurus and the Lord to like kind of filter out the insincere souls. So that's how I see that issue.
Okay.
And how I came to that conclusion just recently is because this is we've our guru Srila Govinda Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, they've said clearly the jiva does not fall from Goloka. That once that if a jiva goes there won't be any desire or need for them to leave. It's not possible unless it's by the Lord's will for some service.
Right, that's what I was thinking. That instead of falling, I was interpreting the word fall to just simply mean choose to leave because it's in service of the Lord or it's according to the Lord's desire for some reason.
Mm-hmm. So but then the thing is that Srila Swami Maharaj, he has some comments which could be interpreted right in another way. And so then there's this whole movement in ISKCON of persons promoting this idea. And I just took it as a misinterpretation that was made by some of his disciples. But I think it was my friend Isha Bandhu Prabhu, he told me recently that once somebody asked Srila Prabhupada like point blank about, because the debate had already started when he was still on the planet. And that somebody asked him point blank, And I have to ask him for the detail. I don't remember the details, but Srila Prabhupada gave a very like funny, evasive answer. It was something like, is it the chicken or the egg? Like he gave some really like kind of joking answer. Like he wouldn't, it was kind of, it was like kind of like the mood was, if you want to fight over this, have fun. You can fight over it. I'm not going to fix this one for you. He gave some really funny answer like that. And so that was the conclusion I came to. Like this whole issue, it's like this Asura Mohan thing. Like the insincere, they're going to get caught up in this debate and they're going to lose their spiritual life over this debate.
Got it.
But we're not interested in that. We just want to steer clear. Rasaraj Prabhu, you have your hand raised.
Yes, I remember I was in a Dandavas everybody. Sorry for that. I was in a Zoom with the Srila Janardhan Maharaj, and this question came, the same question. And then Srila Janardhan Maharaj said, well, what is important, right? Actually important is right now I am here and I have this problem. I have to get out of here. Where I came from, I don't know. It's not important. What is important is what I will do to get out from this situation. The rest is, I don't care. That's what he says. I don't care where I came from. But what I care is about how I can get out from this situation. That is important.
Yes, exactly. This is the real mood of a sincere student. Let's move forward. We don't need to debate all the fine details about how we got here, but we're here now. So let's focus on that and how we can progress and move forward. So that's really what it comes down to.
Which leads to the second part, the second question, because I said that to the devotee who was bringing this up. And I said, I don't think this is the most important thing. I think it's most important that we just, associate with the devotees who inspire us to serve, and, like whatever we need to know will be revealed in our hearts. And this devotee still won't drop it. And I don't know how to get out of the conversation now.
I mean, the thing is, they're already showing the wrong mood because they're in the spirit of argument, and if somebody doesn't want to hear what you have to say, then you just drop it. So obviously their motivation is not pure. So I would just drop it. You could just politely say, oh, thank you so much for all your comments, have a good day. or you could just not reply at all. But yeah, just detach yourself. It's not worth your energy. But going back to the other points that were raised there, it really depends on the individual. I mean in regards to like studying the Siddhanta, right? Studying the teachings, that really depends on the individual. I mean, the main point is that, real Krishna consciousness moves on the basis of revelation, right? It has to be descending. So what's right for one person may not be right for another. What's right for one person at one time may not be right for the same person at another time. So we can find many things to encourage us to study the Siddhanta, and then we can find many things to warn us about going too deep into all of that. It really depends. Jiva Goswami, he actually, like, not only was Jiva Goswami the most brilliant scholar in Mahaprabhu's line, he actually went and studied the anti-philosophies. He studied the philosophies that were against Gaudiya Vaishnavism in order to properly establish what Krishna consciousness is and show them the high position of Mahaprabhu's teachings. So, but that's not for everyone. So it depends on what is the service need. And generally speaking, our Gurudev, he said, it's not necessary to read so much. And he would say, we need to cross a river. We just need to know how to swim. And Gurudev definitely liked that we would read the books of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, read our books, and we can say that includes Srila Govinda Maharaj's books, Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Samhita, Prapana Jivanamrita. These are books that he especially emphasized. And then also, tuning in to daily, and now we're so spoiled with the internet, but like tuning into daily classes. Chaitanya Charitamrita is very valuable for us. Srila Sridhar Maharaj in his mat, in Sri Chaitanya Saraswati mat, he didn't allow devotees to go and read on their own, but he had the model he liked and that he set in the mat was that everyone would go to there would be three classes a day, morning, afternoon, and evening. In the morning would be Chaitanya Bhagavat, in the afternoon would be Srimad Bhagavatam, and in the night would be Chaitanya Charitamrita. So there were these three classes, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj liked that everyone would come to these three classes and hear, and then after hearing, they're going about the practical services of the mat. But he didn't like that people would independently go and read, because that can be an exercise of the intellect. So I think that, based on that model, like having some daily schedule of reading or hearing is very healthy and necessary, helpful for everyone. But in a mood of service, in the mood, this is my guru's desire, and we don't need to get into this nitpickiness about fine points of Siddhanta. Keep hearing, see what will come to you. Then according to necessity, like Jiva Goswami inserts, Jiva Goswami, Jiva Dyer Abhirakshitam. Srila Sridhar Maharaj describes him as the guardian, the protector, Rakak. He's the protector, the guard of the dignity of his gurus. And in some situations, he may need to get into some of these fine points. Baladev Vijabhusham, he had, in order to establish the position of Krishna in the temple in Jaipur, he went and wrote the Govinda Bhashya, establishing Mahaprabhu's conception, entered into debate with those pundits. There may be circumstances where we need to get into these points, but there should be some genuine necessity, not like the person you're describing. They're just arguing for the sake of arguing, and they want to establish their own ego. It's not like they're sincerely interested in the truth, or you're in some circumstance where you need to defend the dignity of our gurus. So, then don't waste your time. It's like Rupa Goswami. He signs the paper of that scholar. Yes, I was defeated by you. Now go on your way. I'm busy. Like that. Okay, you're right. Have a good day. I have to get back to my service now. Thank you very much. So those are my thoughts on that. And Gurudev, then going back to the point about reading and studying, Gurudev did say that if someone is in the role of a preacher, then they should make more effort to read and to study and to become more acquainted with the Siddhanta. Again, because of service necessity, because they need to preach to the public. They need to support the faith of those who are coming with questions, and they should read more, be more deeply acquainted with the Siddhanta. So everything is connected with service necessity. My guru asked me to chant my japa every day, then I'm going to chant my japa every day. It's not like when I go to chant my japa, I'm having this divine, interaction with the holy name. I'm doing Nam Bhajan. That's not going on. But my guru asked me to chant my japa every day. So in service to my guru's desire, I'm going to chant every day. My guru asked me to serve these deities every day, then I'm going to serve these deities. Not like I'm having this intimate divine relationship with Gauranga Sundar, with the Lord, but my guru gave me this seva. One thing, Ramai is our famous legendary pujari, for those of you who don't know him. And one thing, he was like the number one most famous pujari priest in our mission. He had he would change the clothes of the deities twice a day. He had an incredible standard. You know what he told me? And not only that, but Srila Sridhar Maharaj gave him a title, Archaniketam, which means he's a reservoir of Archan. Archan is like the worship of the deity. He's a reservoir of that. Srila Sridhar Maharaj gave him that title. So like he's a pujari, he's a the caretaker of the deity more than anyone else. And what did he tell me? I was so moved. He told me that he felt like his service of the deity, he was serving the deities in Socal for many years. He said he felt like he wasn't actually doing deity service, but it was part of Vaishnava Seva. He was actually serving the Vaishnava because Srila Govinda Maharaj asked him to do it. So he said, this is actually Vaishnava Seva. I'm serving Srila Govinda Maharaj, his desire. So he's doing the service actually. I don't have the capacity to serve the deity, but I'm doing Vaishnava Seva. So everything that we do, it becomes real when it's connected with the desire of the higher Vaishnava. There's a really beautiful quote of Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, where he says that the order of Guru is the activating principle in spiritual life. The will of Guru is the activating principle, something like that. So to have the backing, the desire, to fulfill the desire of a higher Vaishnava, that is everything. That is everything. That's what makes things real. So otherwise you can just get lost, in a mental plane of, debate and discussion and theory and all these things, So everything has its place in connection with the higher will of a Vaishnava. That would be my final statement on that. And steer clear of someone, I remember now, there's a word for that, tar babies. Have you heard that expression, a tar baby? I just learned that recently. The tar, tar, like this really sticky substance. Like don't get involved with tar babies, Steer clear of them. And Dandavatam, Ananda Krishna Prabhu joined us, and Ananda Krishna joined us. Ramananda Prabhu also joined us. And Chintamani Devi also joined us. Anyone else have any thoughts on that, or wants to bring up another point? There's this verse of Lord Brahma, Jananta eva janantu kimbahucha name prabhu manaso vapusho vacho vaibhavam tavagochara, where Lord Brahma, this is after Lord Brahma's realized that he'd underestimated Krishna, right? And he's not just a little blue boy playing in the forests of Vrindavan. And one of his prayers, he says, let people who say they know you say as they like. But as far as I'm concerned, I cannot approach you with my mind, body, or words. But let those who say they know you, let them say so. Let them say what they like. Let them dance their foolish dance, as Srila Sridhar Maharaj says in one place. Like, let them go on. They can go on for millennia and these kinds of debates. This is, Facebook. This is what Facebook is good for. Getting lost in these kinds of meaningless debates. So let them all go on with that. And we've got our own train to catch. Anything else from anyone? I was in, I mentioned beginning, I was in Idaho over the weekend and was meeting with this devotee, Radha Shyam, and his family. And And one thing that we were just talking like for hours and hours every day. It was only a weekend, but we covered a lot of ground. But one of the things he kept saying, which I really appreciated, was like this point about not delaying our spiritual life. You know, we don't want to delay our spiritual life. Like, because the thing is, we can maintain our connection. This is the point he was making. Like, we can maintain our connection, but are we being delayed? Like, are we on the progressive route? Are we in the fast lane? I'm just learning how to drive for the first time. So I've learned that there's a fast lane and a slow lane. There are all these, there's this protocol on the road, right? So are we in the slow lane or are we in the fast lane? So we don't want to delay our spiritual life. And there's also this beautiful quote of our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj, where he says, some of you know this quote. He says, the only thing that is necessary is to be able to tolerate the speed of our journey. The only thing necessary is to be able to tolerate the speed of our journey. Because that current is moving. No, but can we keep up with it? Can we keep up with it or not? And all that actually requires of us is to let go of the things we're holding on to. It's not like we have to work hard. It's like a stream, a river stream. Go, just flow with the stream. That's all you have to do. But we've got all these anchors that we're tied to. So we have to let go of these things and let ourselves move along. Are we carrying some heavy baggage, right? That's slowing down our journey as we're flowing downstream. Let go of that baggage. Be light, and move with that stream.
Vishakha Didi.
Yes, Prabhu. Ramananda.
Yeah. Dandavat. Yeah, thank you. Dandavat. Very nice. You made very good points. Actually, Gurudev used to say Anasaktan Vishyan. Can you explain that?
Say that again, Prabhu.
Anasaktan Vishyan. Nirbandha. I don't know the whole verse.
Oh, Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagya.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's Srila Saraswati Thakur's verse. No, sorry. That's Rupa Goswami's verse. That's Rupa Goswami's verse. And then Saraswati Thakur wrote another verse, but that's a little different. But it's the same idea. Anasaktasya Vishayam. What is it? Anasaktasya Vishayam. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagyam Uchate. I'm missing one of the lines. But Yatarham Upayunjata. So this is a very important verse thank you, Prabhu, for bringing that up. It's a very important verse for us. Of Rupa Goswami talking about the principle of Yukta Vairagya, which means proper renunciation, not artificial renunciation that's based on, insignificant issues, but what is real renunciation? Not renunciation that's a reaction to the material world, but renunciation that has a positive connection with devotion and desire to serve the Lord. I'm giving up the things of this world because I love Krishna and I want to serve Krishna, not, oh, the material world is a dangerous place and every time I enjoy, I have to pay the consequence. I'm just going to write the whole thing off. That's false renunciation. So what is, and I'm going to write off everything that's beautiful, everything that's wonderful, everything that's tasty, I'm going to write it all off because it's all got consequences. Got to pay for it. So I don't want anything to do with it at all. That's false. That's Falgu Vairagya, the phrase is used. And so this is a verse of Rupa Goswami Anasaktasya vishayan, to be detached from vishaya. Vishaya means the material sense objects of this world, everything that's pleasing to our senses in this world, that is vishaya. So anasaktasya means to be free from attachment to that, to be personally free from attachment to that. But then at the same time, nirbandha Krishna sambandhe, to see everything in connection with Krishna's interest. It's not just about us, right? No. You know, there's this wonderful chocolate cake and I have diabetes, so I can't eat it. But does that mean all chocolate cakes are evil? No, let me offer this chocolate cake to Krishna and the devotees. It's not just about us. Why do we have to make everything about us? So see it in connection with Krishna's interest, Krishna's service. Oh, here's a very beautiful man or woman. I'm going to stay far away. You know, I'm going to be attracted. No, see, here's a beautiful servitor of the Lord. You know, how can they be engaged in Krishna's service, Mahaprabhu's service, Gurudev's service? So this is the principle of Yukta Vairagya. Not what's the word? Utilization, not renunciation, but utilization. Srila Sridhar Maharaj used that word, proper utilization of everything, not necessary to reject. And this principle is so central to our practicing lives, and especially in the mission. There's Chintamani. Especially in the mission of Srila Saraswati Thakur, he emphasized this so much because he was acting in quite a revolutionary way. You know, he was engaging everything, using motor cars. You know, nowadays we take these things for granted, but you know, he went to Vrindavan in a big motor car in the 1930s. You know, this was unheard of, right? Vrindavan, where you're meant to go barefoot in a kopin, in a, you know, like loincloth, you know, living like a beggar, sleeping under trees. That was the example shown by the previous sadhus. But Saraswati Thakur goes in this expensive motor car, you know, and using all the technology of the world in Krishna's service. And many people couldn't understand that. So Saraswati Thakur is showing this is the real spirit of devotion. Nothing is to be rejected. Everything is to be used. You know, it's not, we don't need to see things within the relativity of our own material condition position. But let's see everything within the relativity of the Lord's divine service world. You know, how beautiful, how wonderful is that? And so Saraswati Thakur actually published this verse on the front cover of every edition of one of his it was his principal, it was the Gaudiya, I think it was the Gaudiya. It was, there were several regular publications he had, but I think it was the Gaudiya, which was his main. Does anyone remember exactly? Maybe Govinda Nandini remembers. But he published this on the front cover of every edition, this verse. You know? And he also published the following verse. Sorry, what did you say, Prabhu?
Ananda Bazaar Patrika, or there were a couple of many magazines. Yeah,
there were many. I think it was the Gaudiya, though. I think it was the Gaudiya there he published it. But yeah, he had many publications. But he published that verse that you quoted, and also the following one, which I don't remember, but which is describing the nature of Falgu Vairagya, false renunciation, where one is just interested in their own advancement, and in that spirit, they hatefully reject everything of this world. You know? So yes, it is a revolutionary spiritual vision, right? To see how everything can be engaged, everything can be connected, everything can be utilized within ourselves, within others, within the environment. That is real Krishna consciousness. Does that answer your point, Prabhu? Or was there something else you wanted to bring out here?
No, that's good. One more I have question, like Gurudev used to say, Tattar loliam eklam mulyam. So loliam for what? Gurudev say so many things, sometimes very difficult to harmonize, but Guru Maharaj can harmonize everything. I listen to Param Guru Maharaj, so sweet, so merciful. So how to connect loliam?
Did he drop out there?
Tat loliam eklam mulyam. So we hankering for, I get confused sometimes for what.
Loliam. Well, it's
Yeah.
answered in the
Yes.
first line of, you're just looking at the second part of that verse, but first line of the verse answers it. Krishna Bhakti. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Jadi Kutopi Labhyate Tacha Lolyam Api Mulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Sukriterna Labhyate. So Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati is describing this consciousness that is steeped in the ecstasy, the nectar of devotion to Krishna. That lolyam for that. That's what we are aspiring for. Or rather, the association, we are aspiring for the association of such souls who have a drop of that. That is the perfection of our lives. So Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavitamati Kriyatam Jadi Kutopi Labhyate, saying that if you happen to find someone who has this, like Jadi means if, it's quite, it's kind of funny, the verse. Like, if you happen to find anyone who has this, Kriyatam means buy it. Immediately. You got to purchase it. But you can't get it. Janma kotu sukriterna labhyate. You won't be able to find it through just your pious activities or your ritualistic religious activities. Just through your following the practices of devotion in in some mechanical kind of way. That's not going to guarantee anything. But Tatra lolyam api mulyam ekalam. The only way is through your lolyam, your desire for it. That's the only way to buy it. That's the only price. That's the only currency that is accepted. Dollars and pounds and what's the digital currency? I've forgotten.
Crypto,
yeah, cryptocurrency. Those things don't have any value. But your lolyam, your desire for it, that's the only thing. So that's why Shravanam is so important. That's why we have to go on hearing, because that will strengthen our lolyam. We may not have lolyam, we may not have desire, but if we keep hearing the topics of the Lord, hearing from those who have something of that lolyam, then that may grow within us, and that may arise within us. Otherwise, we've seen it, right? People may be connected, serve for so many years, but they leave it in the end because they didn't get enough lolyam. Their taste was not strong. We're not in a safe position until we have some real taste, some real attraction. So we need to go on hearing.
Thank you so much, Vishakha Didi. That's why Gurudev brought you, Krishna, to save us.
Thank you for bringing up the topic. It's very nice. Thank you. You are all saving me. Otherwise, what would I be doing? I don't know.
No, there is so much association, but it's hard to distinguish what's good, what's not. So it's very difficult. I actually been very lucky. I pray to Guru Maharaj. I go sometimes other temples. So I was listening some devotee online. It was very nice. So I went there and I met him a little bit. So he was talking about so many pastimes about Krishna Leela and other things. He has published some books, but it's a little different than our philosophy. So I went anyway. I thought he's a Prabhupada disciple. He's coming in this public succession, so I should go see him. So I got to meet him. His name is Rupa Vilas Prabhu. He's in India. So yeah, but I like how you present. It's more pure, our life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Yes, we are Mahaprabhu's family. Stay within Mahaprabhu's family. That's my only request. Stay in Mahaprabhu's family. We're paribar. We were talking, Radha Sham and I were talking about this word too, this paribar. Paribar means family, but it's used, there's also a tradition of using it in the context of, like devotional lineage, like lineages, so we hear this phrase, like the Narottam Paribar, the family of Narottam talk, because Narottam was so big in the scope of his preaching. So this phrase is used, a Narottam Paribar, the family of Narottam. And we hear Saraswati Thakur, he expressed many times, we are in the Bhakti Vinod Paribar. We are the Bhakti Vinod Paribar. We are the family, the spiritual family of Bhakti Vinod. And sometimes I feel like, we are the Paribar of Srila Govinda Maharaj. So we are in the family of Mahaprabhu. We're in the Paribar of all of these great souls. So we don't want to leave our families, so we will stay within our families. And, we may have cousins, right? We may see them sometimes. We may have uncles and aunts, but no, our main focus is with our father and our immediate family. We're cultivating some special mood here. What is the difference in the mood of Srila Sridhar Maharaj and Srila Govinda Maharaj? What is unique? Why are we here and not somewhere else? We need to think about those things. There's some particular taste here, and we want to cultivate that and refine that, cook that down, condense that into something sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. So we want to, one very nice expression of Gurudev, he said, I'm always thinking of three things. What was the tune of Srila Guru Maharaj? What was the tune of Srila Saraswati Thakur? What was the tune of Srila Swami Maharaj? And I'm trying to match their tune. So there's some particular melody of Krishna consciousness that they are playing. And it is nuanced, it is fine. We may not be able to perceive all the nuances of that melody, but it is there. And the more that we cultivate that and focus on that, the more will be revealed to us. So, okay, well, we'll stop here for today. It's been wonderful to have all of your association and to remember all of these topics. And wishing you all a wonderful week ahead. Look forward to the next meeting. Jai.
Thank you so much.
Dandavad Prabhu. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. All the assembled devotees ki Jai. Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai. Hari Nam Sankirtan ki Jai.
Jai.
Lord Premanand.
Jai Vishakha.
Hari Bo.
Jai Vishakha Didi ki.
Jai.
Dandavad.
Jai.
Dhanyavad.
Jai.